Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Jaya Prabhupada,
Prabhupada,
Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila
Nitai
Prabhupada.
Gaura Hari Bol,
Hari
Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Srila Bhakti Charu Swami
Swami
Maharaj
Maharaj
ki
ki
jai.
jai.
Gaur Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
Hare Krishna, yeah, got it, thank you. Hare Krishna. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Charu Swami Niti Namine Namaste
Snigdha Chaita Shrapaneta Pagni Nam Charasputam Prabhupada Gata Prana Naime Bhakti Charu Padam
Namo Om
Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine
Namaste Saraswati Deve
Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarini.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Guru Maharaj ki jai. Louder. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Guru Maharaj ki jai. Very bold. So welcome everybody. We're expecting a lot more than this, so hopefully everybody is making their way down soon. But thank you so much for making the time to celebrate this wonderful Vyasa Puja for Guru Maharaj, and which also Guru Maharaj preferred to call it Srila Prabhupada's festival. So today we're going to just, before we start, we just have some house rules. Everybody, please put your hands in your pocket, take out your phones, and make sure that it's on silent or on vibrate. We do not want to disturb the speakers right in the middle of that. Secondly, everybody hopefully is aware bathrooms are there out through that door on the left. And I think that's basically it, housekeeping-wise. Vinda Vilasni, the program.
Okay. First of all, I would request His Grace Naveen Prabhu to please garland Srila Prabhupada. Guru Maharaj won't have it any other way. Guru Maharaj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, a big round of applause, please, for none other but the Jagat Guru, Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So today, for this wonderful occasion of dear Guru Maharaj's Vyasa Puja, his appearance day, we shall be having some programs lined up for you. We've got some videos. We've had wonderful singing by Sanj, Radha, and their group. So thank you so much, and all glories to your services. Then we've also got some memories, glorification by our God brothers and God sisters this time. And then we've also got some VIP speakers talking about Guru Maharaj. And then there is cake cutting around 8:30, and the best part, prasadam, which is going to be served on the other side. But yeah, so that's what we have lined up for you. And we'll start off with Her Grace Vishakha Mataji, who's going to be welcoming us for this. Please put your hand together.
Hare Krishna.
We are graced with Mother Vishakha's presence, who is the First Lady President for this manor as well. So.
Jai.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvase Sasunyavadi Paskya Tadesha Tarane Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for coming this evening to this very auspicious occasion. It's rare to find such an exalted follower of Srila Prabhupada as Bhakti Charu Swami. He had so many exemplary qualities. A perfect gentleman, very gracious always, very sensitive, wonderful rapport with the devotees, with his followers, with his godbrothers. So many qualities, so committed to Srila Prabhupada, such an unusual history he had coming so quickly to Prabhupada's lotus feet and finding so much satisfaction there and such invaluable service translating Prabhupada's words into the Bengali language. So you're very fortunate to have his shelter. This is a wonderful opportunity to remember him, as we want to remember him regularly. So exemplary devotee. We can all try to follow in his footsteps. A few years ago, after he passed away, we had one of these Zoom calls of remembrance. And one thing that stood out for me especially was the remembrance from Bhakti Chaitanya Swami, who's a GBC. And he was saying that at one point Bhakti Charu Swami was assigned to be chairman of the GBC. And Bhakti Chaitanya Swami was a little concerned because the GBC can get a bit fiery, many strong opinions. And his impression of Bhakti Charu Swami was very mild, very peaceful, and he was wondering if he could control this rather forceful group of devotees. And lo and behold, he said he was so amazed that Bhakti True Swami, his personality altered for the occasion, so that he was able to control these very forceful, outspoken people, and his mild nature, his natural nature, took second place so that he could do this service for Srila Prabhupada. So in that way he was very malleable for the service. So we can all take inspiration from him and guidance and be educated by him as well. Thank you so much. All glories to Srila Bhakti True Swami, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mother Vishakha. So next we shall be having a video by none other but His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj. Dear Guru Maharaj is going to be talking about Vyasa Puja. So, thank you.
Hare Krishna, Nama Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine, Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Vishakha. Today is the day when Srila Prabhupada arrived in the United States of America. A new chapter actually began from that time for this world. In the future, though, history will note that how the whole world was going into a very, very dangerous situation. And then from this time, when Srila Prabhupada arrived in America, the world situation started to change. Started to change for the better. Started to improve in an inconceivable way. And we have to recognize it's all due to Srila Prabhupada's going to America. He went to America, and then Krishna consciousness movement started to spread. The world at that time, or prior to that, was actually facing a very critical situation called the Cold War between the Eastern European bloc, the communist bloc, and America. And the situation was very tense. War could have sparked off at any moment, the Third World War. But then, ever since Srila Prabhupada went to America and started to spread Krishna consciousness, the situation just started to change. And today we can see the world situation is a lot more peaceful than before. And there is so much prosperity, as if the golden age is unfolding gradually. And it is because Srila Prabhupada went to the West and started to spread Krishna consciousness, started to spread the Sankirtan movement, which is a Juga Dharma of this age. And as a result of that, all kinds of wonderful things started to happen around the world. That's why this particular day is very, very important for us. The day when Srila Prabhupada arrived in America. This day also happens to be my birthday. In 1945, on 17th September, I was born. And in ISKCON, there is a custom of Vyasa Puja. And ever since I became a spiritual master, ever since I started to give initiation to the deserving candidates, like this, I have been kind of forced into this Vyasa Puja celebration. I used to feel very uncomfortable to take the worship, because I always felt that whatever comes to me, I should just offer it to Srila Prabhupada. So, to kind of separately accept the worship on the day of my birth was a little embarrassing for me, and I was feeling a little uncomfortable. So I got this wonderful opportunity to pass this on to Srila Prabhupada. And that's how I actually started to celebrate, as you all know, the Prabhupada Memorial Festival. Srila Prabhupada Memorial Festival. All of us should actually remember Srila Prabhupada on this particular day that he arrived in America. And as a result of that, we all have got an opportunity to not only be saved from the clutches of Maya, but to become elevated to the topmost region of the spiritual world. One cannot actually imagine what an amazing good fortune it is. This kind of good fortune, direct elevation to Golok Vrindavan, is rare even for the demigods, even for Lord Brahma, even for Lord Shiva. The opportunity that is inconceivable for even Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva has become so easily available to us. So much so that if we get a chance to go to Vaikuntha, we will not accept that opportunity. We will not settle for any other situation or any other place, because we got to know the supreme spiritual abode of Krishna being Golok Vrindavan, and we have the opportunity to become elevated to that platform. Of course, at the same time, we are not really so keen on our own liberation, our own becoming elevated to the spiritual world, even to Golok Vrindavan. As the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as the devotee of Srila Prabhupada, we learned how not to care for ourselves, but to care for others. We found it. Now we want to distribute it. That is the responsibility. That is the service which is of highest importance. Sri Chaitanya Krishna himself came to do that, to distribute Krishna consciousness, Krishna prema pradayate. Coming as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is distributing this Krishna prema. Then he predicted that this Krishna prema, the opportunity to receive Krishna prema, will become available to people all over the world in every town and village. And to fulfill that prediction, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sent Srila Prabhupada. And as a result of that, we also have got this incredible spiritual opportunity. But now, our business is to go out and give it to others. And that is the mission that Srila Prabhupada established. That is why Srila Prabhupada established ISKCON. And we can see that how through ISKCON, Krishna consciousness movement is spreading all over the world in such a beautiful way. And this institution is going to continue to fulfill the prediction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur came to revive Krishna consciousness at a time when it was practically lost. Then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur came and gave it a structure in the form of systematic preaching. And then Srila Prabhupada came and took it out of India, brought it to the Western world, and then started to spread it all over the world. So these three personalities we have to recognize as the personalities who have been sent by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to fulfill his prediction. And now, to continue this mission, in order to continue this mission, Srila Prabhupada established ISKCON. And as members of ISKCON, we have the solemn responsibility to spread this movement all over the world. Let us not worry about our personal gain or personal benefit. Let us simply consider how this movement is going to spread all over the world. And in order to do that, let's secure ISKCON movement very nicely and become a very important and effective part of ISKCON. All of us should become a very wonderful instrument in the hands of Srila Prabhupada in his ISKCON to continue his mission throughout the world. And let this mission continue generation after generation, establishing the golden age in the middle of this age of Kali, creating Golok Vrindavan down here, creating Navadip, spiritual Navadip, Mayapur in this world, where devotees will be chanting the glories of Krishna, chanting the holy name, and dance in ecstasy. And this is how the sound vibration and the joy of the hearts of the devotees will spread all over the world, creating the golden age once again in the middle of this age of Kali. So I wish that all of you become very nicely engaged in this wonderful service that Srila Prabhupada has given us. Thank you all very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnupadaya, Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine, Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Paschatmanishthami. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Guru Maharaj ki jai. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're very, very fortunate, very privileged indeed today to have with us His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj and also His Holiness Chandramuli Maharaj. So we'll please welcome them both with 3 loud Hari Bols. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. So we will be hearing from both of them a little bit later. But right now, we have Anupama Mataji singing a bhajan for us.
कृष्ण जिनका नाम है, गोकुल जिनका धाम है। कृष्ण जिनका नाम है, गोकुल जिनका धाम है। ऐसे श्री भगवान को, श्री भगवान को बारंबार प्रणाम है, बारंबार प्रणाम है, बारंबार प्रणाम है। कृष्ण जिनका नाम है। प्रणाम है, प्रणाम है। यशोदा जिनकी मैया है, नंद जी बपैया है। यशोदा जिनकी मैया है, नंद जी बपैया है। ऐसे श्री गोपाल को, ऐसे श्री गोपाल को बारंबार प्रणाम है, बारंबार प्रणाम है। कृष्ण जिनका नाम है, गोकुल जिनका धाम है। यशोदा जिनकी मैया है, नंद जी बपैया है। ऐसे श्री गोपाल को, ऐसे श्री गोपाल को बारंबार प्रणाम है, प्रणाम है। राधा जिनकी जया है, अद्भुत उनकी माया है। राधा जिनकी जया है, अद्भुत उनकी माया है। ऐसे श्री घनश्याम को, ऐसे श्री घनश्याम को बारंबार प्रणाम है, बारंबार प्रणाम है। कृष्ण जिनका नाम है, गोकुल जिनका धाम है। लूट लूट दधी माखन खायो, ग्वाले बाल संग धेनु चरायो। लूट लूट दधी माखन खायो, गाल संग धेनु चरायो। ऐसे लीला धाम को, ऐसे लीला धाम को बारंबार प्रणाम है, बारंबार है, बारंबार प्रणाम है। कृष्ण जिनका नाम है, गोकुल जिनका धाम है। ऐसे श्री भगवान को, ऐसे श्री गोपाल को, ऐसे माखन चोर को मेरे बारंबार प्रणाम है, बारंबार प्रणाम है। हरे कृष्णा, हरे कृष्णा, कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम, राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा, कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम, हरे कृष्णा, कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम, राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Gurudeva, 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 Srila Gurudeva. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Gurudev, Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol. Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol.
So thank you so much. So Madhuram Kirtanam Bhajanam Madhuram. What could we say? Guru Maharaj had noticed in Croatia retreat, I think Anupama Radhika Mataji was asked to have a record or album of her own, but there you go. Moving on, Guru Maharaj always said to us in any of his retreats that, can you remember what did Srila Prabhupada done for you? Try and write on that. Try and meditate on that. So here we are. We've got a video of Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki!
was attacked by heart attack while on the sea twice. The pain was so severe, I thought I am not dying. So 1922, I met my Guru Maharaj.
Abhay, let's go to see this great Vaishnava. He is a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya.
Oh no, I know all these sadhus. I am not going.
No, Abhay, we must go. We have to go. Come.
On the first visit, he asked me, educated boys like you should go to foreign countries and preach. So I replied that we are foreign-dominated nation, India. We'll hear about our message. Guru Maharaj, he convinced me that dependence, independence, they are temporary. Because we belong to a Vaishnava family, so I was very much pleased that here is a personality who is going to preach Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's gospel.
As years pass by, he takes sannyas and now he is known as A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami.
At that time there was no sale of Back to Godhead. I was publishing about 1,000 copies. And distributing, so there was no income. I was spending 300, 400 rupees. I was alone. So I was thinking, what is it? So I had many days of very tribulations. Then when I wrote book, Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto was finished, and I first of all published my first part of Srimad Bhagavatam. Then I published second part also. So after publishing 3 parts, then automatically Guru Maharaj gave me indication that now you can start forever. And then I decided to take up the responsibility of my Guru Maharaj. The dream was, I must come here. The dream was that Krishna, in his many forms, yeah. When I was on the sea at Boston Port, I was thinking that I have come here, I do not know what is the purpose. I was not very much hopeful because it is very difficult task. Anyway, let me try. And I was maintaining myself by selling this book for 1 year. there was no friend. I was living in an apartment with great difficulty. Still, I did not know how to pay next month's rent. The whole stock and my typewriter, my tablecloth, everything was stolen. In this way, I became very much depressed. And I was going to the shipping company when the next ship was going to India.
But my Guru Maharaj, he wanted this. It is not that he is dead and gone. That is not spiritual understanding. But I had full faith that my Guru Maharaj is with me. I never lost this faith, and this is fact. I never feel that I am alone. If we keep to the body, to the words of spiritual master, then we remain very fixed up. So, don't be afraid of tribulations. Go forward. Krishna will give you protection. That is Krishna's promise in the Bhagavad Gita. Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranasati. You can declare throughout the whole world that my devotees will never be vanquished. You can declare.
A 70-year-old devotee of Krishna went to America in a cargo ship in 1965, and after an enormous struggle, he established an institution with a handful of young Americans. With them he started this International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Within the short span of 11 years, Srila Prabhupada not only spread this movement practically through all the countries of the world, but he established 108 temples in all the major cities of the world. And this is how we can see that in order to fulfill his prediction, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reserved the credit to one of his most intimate devotee, and that is His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada.
His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. So wonderful. As we all know, if Srila Prabhupada didn't go to USA, all of us here would not be here. We just don't know where we would be. So anyway, we continue the program today. We will invite His Grace Dayal Prabhu to please come over and give his glorifications.
First of all, I'd like to pay my obeisances to my, as Govinda Maharaj would say, my revered spiritual master, Bhakti Maharaj. And my obeisances to his spiritual master, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and to all the assembled devotees and sannyasis and guests. It's the one of the responsibilities of the spiritual master is to engage a conditioned soul like me in the service of Radha and Krishna, Gaunitai. And due to this, because I know I'm totally dependent on the mercy of the spiritual master to be engaged in the service of the Radha Krishna, Gaunitai, Jagannath Subhadra, etc. So, and also through that service you make some advancements. So, thinking back what to say, the time I spent in Srila Mayapur in the Dharma Seva office for 5 years, I knew that was the mercy of the spiritual master. And through that mercy, I could understand that that I made advancement because of his mercy by engaged in taking the devotees around the 9 islands, going to Ekachakra about 30 times in 5 years, going to Katwa, Chattogram, Srikhanda, all those places, and understanding the mercy of the Holy Dham, because Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in one of his trilogy books, Navadvip Bhavataranga, describes that the rascal souls in Kali Yuga are not qualified to see the real Mayapur Dham. It is by the mercy of the Dhambasis and Lord Chaitanya that one can see the real Mayapur Dham. And by the mercy of Bhakti Sri Maharaj and the saintly devotees who I had fortunate enough to associate with there, like Bhakti Panod Poi Maharaj and the other devotees, advanced devotees there, I could occasionally get just a slight glimpse of what Mayapur Dham is. And this is the mercy of the spiritual master to engage a conditioned soul like me in the service of Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda. And the so one time I was coming back from Goldrumadweep with a party in the evening, and it was a summer evening. So the party was a family. So they normally would pay a rickshaw for me. He said, "No, I'll start walking back slowly from the boating gap." And so on this particular evening, I was walking past the Gopinath Mandir, and I thought, let's go and take darshan of Bhaktivedanta Puri Maharaj's Samadhi. So I went in, obeisances, circumambulated Bhaktivedanta Puri Maharaj's Samadhi, and I heard this Hari Guitar from the initiating guru there, Bojanga Maharaj, and it was very nice Hari Guitar. And I thought I'd like to hear more like that. So, but first I better ask my Guru Maharaj first. So then the next time he came, I asked for his permission. And he said yes. He said, I used to go and myself, Bhaktivedanta Puri Maharaj myself. So I shouldn't be an hypocrite and say I should go myself and you should not go to hear from one of his advanced devotees. But on the condition that you don't jump ship, you don't leave Srila Prabhupada, and you don't leave ISKCON. If you stay on ship, stay on board, you can go, no problem. So then, occasionally I would, and then he would say, if it doesn't interfere with your service in ISKCON, it's no problem with me. So then occasionally I would go to hear from him as well. And this showed me that Guru Maharaj was very soft and very soft heart, and he knew, because he told me afterwards, I know your inner desire. He said, I know what you like to hear. He says, unfortunately, I cannot speak, I know it, but I cannot speak it, because I have to look after the new devotees. So therefore you can hear from this devotee, no problem. And so through that service I made some nice, some little advancement. And then also the spiritual master, Bhakti Maharaj, it said the spiritual master sometimes appears to you in a dream and gives you personal instruction. So most of you know, for many years I was doing Bajari service, and I started on the wonderful Lordship's Gauni tie. I was happy dressing Gauni tie, very happy. And then one night, I had a dream of Guru Maharaj. And he said to me, he said, you carry on doing this service as much as you can, and your life will be perfect at the end of this lifetime. And then because I was in Mayapur, unknowingly he would actually phone, check on me, see if I was my service. So my department head, Rajanath Prabhu, he told me, he said, your Guru Maharaj he's checking on you. And what did you say? He's doing okay. And he's then a few weeks later, he came and he said, I've heard you're doing nice service. But then I was thinking, here comes but there's something wrong here. He hasn't given any chastisement yet. So then he said, I'm happy with your service, but I'm not happy with you in one sense. And I thought, here we go. Then he said, you've been 4 years in Mayapur and you haven't learned Bengali yet. He said, this is the language of Lord Chaitanya. So then after that, I did a quick crash course of Bengali after that. So that also, what little Bengali I did learn is also the mercy of the spiritual master. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Dayal Prabhu. Wonderful Dayal Prabhu. Of course, he's the ashram devotee here. And he's, as you mentioned, he's done many, many years of service, wonderful service in Mayapur Dham. So next, we'd like to welcome as Her Grace Radha Sundari Mataji. Radha Sundari Mataji actually has been Guru Maharaj's secretary for many years. So welcome her on the stage. Thank you.
Dear Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to you. Happy birthday. Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi 158, it is not possible for a conditioned soul to directly meet Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But if one becomes a sincere devotee and seriously engages in devotional service, Lord Krishna sends an instructing spiritual master to show him favor and invoke his dormant propensity for serving the Supreme. Indeed, we are blessed with so many spiritual masters in ISKCON who are all kindly invoking our dormant propensity for serving Krishna. Yet you, Maharaj, give us something even more. You awaken within our hearts the propensity to know Srila Prabhupada, to understand his heart, and to dedicate our lives to his service. Simply being in your presence is akin to associating directly with his divine grace, because there is not a moment when you are not meditating on serving your beloved Lord and Master. Once, when your health was quite taxed, I suggested that you spend a few days at Harinarayan Prabhu's home in the Canary Islands. You asked me what would be the purpose of going there. I said, for a break, Maharaj. With the most puzzled expression, you tilted your head slightly and asked, break? There is no break in serving Srila Prabhupada. And there never was. We hear Srila Prabhupada's poignant description of his first meeting with Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, wherein upon first glance, Srila Prabhupada received the instruction to take the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the Western world. Similarly, on that blessed day, when you found yourself in Srila Prabhupada's train compartment after the Kumbh Mela, within moments of meeting you, Srila Prabhupada instructed you to translate his books, written in English for the Western world, back into Bengali, bringing the international mission of his divine grace full circle. Both of these meetings, both of Srila Prabhupada with his spiritual master and yours with Srila Prabhupada, are awe-inspiring. They hint of a knowing, a recognition between guru and disciple that gives us hope that we too may serve you eternally. You confirmed this once in your own words. You shared that once when you expressed your heartfelt gratitude to Srila Prabhupada, saying, Srila Prabhupada, I cannot understand sometimes why you are so merciful to me. Every devotee in ISKCON dreams of serving you, yet you are engaging me, the most junior of your disciples, in your personal service as your secretary. I can't understand this kindness. Srila Prabhupada responded, when Krishna descends to the material world, his most intimate associates descend with him to assist in his mission. Similarly, when the pure devotee comes to this world, he also brings his most intimate associates along. And do you know what happens to them? You paused in the story and continued with a gentle smile. They become his secretary. There is indeed no beginning or end to this eternal relationship. I never witnessed a moment when you were not contemplating how to better serve his divine grace and how to encourage and inspire the devotees to serve his divine grace, and how to protect and expand the mission of his divine grace. By hearing from you and witnessing the depth of your meditation and love, we all felt as if we were directly associating with Srila Prabhupada. We were given a glimpse into the heart of Srila Prabhupada, into his mission, his affection, his humor, even his chastisements. But most importantly, we were seeing all this through the salve of your love and dedication, allowing us to experience Srila Prabhupada beyond the limits of our own adhikar. The instructing spiritual master gives us Krishna. Yet you have given us an experience of what it is to love and serve Krishna and his most intimate associates with unmotivated, uninterrupted love. When 1 year during the filming of Abhecharan, due to heavy traffic after a long day of service, we missed Srila Prabhupada's Thirobhav observation at the Calcutta temple, I expressed my sympathy the next day that it must have been very difficult for you. You replied, the day of Srila Prabhupada's departure was the most painful day of my life. But every day since then has been exactly the same. Every day is a day in the service of His divine grace. I could not have imagined on that day what it means to serve in separation for days, weeks, months, years, and decades. A few months of association and then a lifetime of separation. At face value, we were blessed with so much more for which to be eternally grateful. But it isn't easy still. Some days it feels unusually cruel that the sun can rise and the world can go on without your presence. And that on others, the days when I'm able to chant with focus and serve you with gratitude, it is as if you are closer than ever before. Thank you for being so present even in your absence. I asked you once whether you have any of Srila Prabhupada's personal paraphernalia. You explained that after Srila Prabhupada's departure, Tamal Krishna Maharaj gave you one of Srila Prabhupada's rings, but you lent it to a Prabhupada museum from where it was stolen. You ended the story by saying, "But it doesn't matter, because I aspire to carry Srila Prabhupada with all his paraphernalia on the altar of my heart." Now, in your absence, your words ring repeatedly in my heart, in your melodic voice and with your graceful gestures and meditative glance. They are a fountain of never-ending hope. Hope that we can carry you with all your paraphernalia and instructions on the altar of our hearts. Hope that our association with you and service to you is eternal. Hope that if we can take the process of Krishna consciousness very seriously, if we can take full advantage of the gifts you have so unconditionally given us, one day we will once again find ourselves under your loving glance, indeed without any break, in serving Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Happy birthday.
Her Grace Radha Sundari Mataji ki jai. Next, I would like to invite Her Grace Subhakshena Mataji. She is just sat there, but I've been told I think something's changed very quickly. So we're going to be inviting perhaps one of our dearest Maharaj here to speak. So I'll
Hare Krishna,
over
yeah.
to.
Okay, so last minute change. So, yeah, Shubhakshana Mataji, I can relate to that. Stage fright happens all the time. So we'd now like to request our honored guest, one of the honored guests here today. His Holiness Chandamuli Maharaj. Chandamuli Maharaj is very, very kind to the manor. He's always gracing us with his frequent visits. So we'd like Maharaj to come and say a few words, please. So please welcome Maharaj with again 3 loud Haribols. Haribol, Haribol, Haribol.
Om Agyan Timidandasya Gina Jana Salakaya Chaksu Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimakti Bhakti Charu Swami Iti Namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimakti Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschatya De Satarne Vanchakopa Tarubhischa Kripa Sindhupa Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaho Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I want to begin by offering my humble obeisances and my great happiness to sing all the devotees, my obeisances to all of you. And thank you for inviting me to come here. I don't feel at all qualified to speak on such an exalted personality. But Srila Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj is a personality that is quite not only exalted but unique. Unique in the sense that when he came to Srila Prabhupada's shelter, it was practically just about a year before Srila Prabhupada departed. And in that 1 year that Bhakti Charu Maharaj was with Srila Prabhupada, took shelter of Prabhupada, he did so much. And he pleased Srila Prabhupada so much that when it was time to receive an initiation, Prabhupada could understand this person is very, very devoted, very deep in devotional service. So Prabhupada went right and gave him first and second initiation in one ceremony. And then only 3 months later, after that, he gave him the sannyas order. But just about before that ceremony was to take place, Tamal Krishna Goswami approached Srila Prabhupada and he said to Srila Prabhupada in a very curious way, Prabhupada, he's a new man and you have elevated him so quickly. Prabhupada said, I can see the purity, you cannot. So Prabhupada could understand it here that Krishna had sent somebody very special to help spread Krishna consciousness around the world. And Srila Bhakti Charu Maharaj's life was so absorbed in so many different projects to bring about the spreading of Krishna consciousness. Of course, most of that happened after Srila Prabhupada left. But one thing that we all know, we've heard so many times, and it was such an important part of Srila Prabhupada's mission, is that he had translated Srila Prabhupada's books into Bengali, tirelessly working, getting up at midnight and working throughout the night, and even throughout the morning hours, spending hours and hours and hours of time wanting to complete this project for Srila Prabhupada's pleasure, and he knew how important it was to Srila Prabhupada. So his dedication to Srila Prabhupada is a most amazing, exemplary, and very, very deep. And it's interesting, and it's also very appropriate that we are honoring Srila Bhakti Charu Maharaj in the same day we are honoring Srila Prabhupada's appearance in the Western world. Because for Bhakti Charu Maharaj, and I think for all of us, and we can see that they were inseparable, Srila Prabhupada and Bhakti Charu Maharaj. It was such a deep, loving relationship between them, sweet, very intimate. And there was one beautiful, beautiful photo that really charms my heart when I saw it. It's Srila Prabhupada embracing in such a sweet way, and Bhakti Charu Maharaj's heart-like smile in the embrace of Srila Prabhupada. It was something that was not of this world. You could see the love between the two of them. It was so deep. And Srila Bhakti Charu Maharaj lived his life in such a way as to carry that mood of loving relationships to all of us. I think this is what we hear many times from devotees who were in Maharaj's association. And he was so personal and so, when we say, available to be with the devotees, to speak with the devotees, to show his concern, compassion, his care, and also his clear understanding of what was needed in order for us to move forward in Krishna consciousness. I was extremely fortunate that I had many, many wonderful opportunities to associate with Maharaj. And one such opportunity was the first time I actually really had his association. And that was in the year 1980. It was in the New Vrindavan farm community. And I had the service of doing Pujari work at Srila Prabhupada's palace. And in that service, there was just 2 or 3 of us always in the palace. There was a cook. At that time, it was Nandu Kumara. And there was myself, who was the Pujari. And then there was one person who would take care of the temple. So Maharaj arrived, and I had heard so much about him. I didn't know much at that time because being in New Vrindavan, there wasn't much exposure to the outside world. We lived somewhat a cloistered existence. We hardly left the community. And so whatever went on around the world, we would only hear about it. And not much of that information would also come to us. But when Maharaj came this time, I was so happy to see him. And I was thinking, here is somebody very special. And immediately, when he came to Srila Prabhupada's palace, he wanted to cook for Prabhupada. We all know how much he loved to cook for the devotees, how much he served Srila Prabhupada and by cooking for Srila Prabhupada. So the regular cook at that time, of course, was Nandu Kumar, and he gave Maharaj the opportunity, and was the Raj Bhoga offering. And so I was overwhelmed to see this great personality. I had heard so much about him, and then I was thinking, now I'm fortunate to have his association. And he cooked this huge, offering for Srila Prabhupada. It was like a feast for Prabhupada's Raj Bhog. And I had the good fortune of taking the offering and place it on the altar and do the offering. And after I had done that, or actually during the time I had just finished the offering, Bhakti Charu Maharaj walks onto the altar. And then he wanted to see Srila Prabhupada. But one thing that he noticed on the altar that really caught his attention in the most delightful way is that there was that drum that Srila Prabhupada started the Krishna consciousness movement, a little bongo drum in Thompson Square Park back in 1965, 66. And Maharaj went over to that drum. His eyes got big, and he picked up the drum. He embraced the drum. And he said, and I was listening, he said, "This is the drum that began the Hare Krishna movement worldwide." And the delightfulness that expressed by seeing that drum really impacted me in such a way as that I started to really appreciate that drum. Because I was seeing it every day, and it was sitting on the altar right in front of Srila Prabhupada. And then I understood, how much love he had for Srila Prabhupada, a little bit of that quantity of unlimited love, but how much he appreciated Srila Prabhupada's way of spreading Krishna consciousness. After I had the good fortune, we sat together and we took prasadam together. That was something that was very memorable. And then he had to leave. And I was thinking, wow, it was such a wonderful experience with this personality. I didn't know much about him, but I was so happy just to be with him. So gracious, so sweet, and so very, he's affable, so friendly, available. But then I was praying. I didn't really want him to leave. Of course, that was not possible. He had to leave. But something happened. And when he left, of course, when he did the Pujari work, he took his socks off and put him in the room there. And when he left, he forgot his socks. So I was thinking, yeah, Krishna, thank you very much. I received some mercy. So immediately, I guess I should have gave it back to him, but I didn't. Because I thought this was a rare occasion. And to have that memory of him in the form of his paraphernalia really stayed with me for a long time. We were together many, many times, but I'd like to speak a little bit about his qualities, which everyone knows. And of course, his love for the devotees, his care for the devotees, and his desire to please the devotees. And he would always take opportunities to cook for the devotees. He was an expert cook, and he cooked so nicely and so carefully. I remember one time I was with him, and he had arranged a program for the senior, Prabhupada disciples to be together. And so I had to leave. My schedule was, and I wasn't able to attend that program. And Maharaj was cooking for all of his god brothers and god sisters. And so when he realized I wasn't there, he wrote me a letter and he said, "Oh, I'm sorry, you had to leave. I wanted to offer some prasadam, but I'm sorry you weren't able to be with us." And it was, it was just amazing that he actually wrote me a letter and was feeling that I was feeling, I had a good chance, and I missed the opportunity to be with him. And he could understand that, and then he wrote me this letter, which really made me feel like really part of his life, and it really touched my heart. And I think as we talk to devotees and go around the world, we find so many people have had such a deep interchange with Bhakti Charu Maharaj because he was so personal and so loving. What he did to spread Srila Prabhupada's movement is phenomenal. The list goes on and on and on, and he dedicated his life in a most exemplary way, especially opening that most amazing mandir in, I think it was in the year 2007, the opening of the temple in Ujjain. Such a glorious and such a magnanimous, magnificent temple with beautiful deities of Radha and Krishna. Sri Gaurnitai, Krishna Balaram, and later on Lord Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra Maharani, Lord Nrsingadev. The temple is magnificent. And I remember I was there for the opening. It was such a glorious occasion. Maharaj had worked so hard and had to cut through a lot of the red tape in order for that temple to get the permission to be established. Of course, he had some support from the local, the leaders in that area, some of the local administrators, but there was also some resistance. But he was determined because it was a great project to offer to Srila Prabhupada. It was in the area where Krishna and Balaram had gone to school under the guidance of Sandipani Muni. And in order to honor that particular holy place, he established a deity of Sandipani Muni there, along with the other deities in the temple. And then, of course, the temple expanded, and later on, a beautiful guest house, Maharaj, a restaurant, and then later on, a first-class Ayurvedic hospital, and so many opportunities to serve the devotees. He loved to serve the devotees. His heart was geared to serving the devotees. He served Srila Prabhupada by serving all of his devotees. His humility, his sweetness. But there was another side to Bhakti Charu Maharaj, and that is he was no nonsense. If he understood clearly the practice of Krishna consciousness, the philosophy that Srila Prabhupada gave us, and how to apply that. And so when it was time to speak strongly, he was there. And one such incident, which was life-changing, I think, for our society, it was only a few years ago. I think it was back in the 2017, 18, around that time, when we had such a contention over the position of the New York temple, Sri Sri Radha Govinda in New York. There was a huge battle. Devotees were divided. And there were arguments, there were legal procedures going on. And at one point, Bhakti Charu Maharaj came and he gave a lecture and he explained exactly what the GBC had decided in reference to that which was being resisted. He spoke so strongly, so powerfully, representing Srila Prabhupada and the GBC. And when he was speaking, he was being shouted down, but it didn't bother him. He continued to give his understanding, and everything was clear at the end that this is what the GBC has decided in relationship to this project, and therefore the GBC represents the administrative arm of Srila Prabhupada, and this is the decision. And it was glorious. He actually turned everything around by his talk. And he had to undergo a lot of the criticism that came when that was happening. So he was like Nrsingadev. He was like Nrsingadev in that particular incident. And that showed that, a devotee, a great devotee, is soft as a rose, but as hard as a thunderbolt when it's required. And that hardness is always in relationship to serving the Supreme Personality according to how that service must go on. So there is so many, many, many wonderful qualities of Bhakti Charu Maharaj. I remember when he left, for me, I felt somewhat lost. I was thinking, I was even questioning why Krishna had taken him. Of course, later on we understand that Krishna's ways are inexplainable. Krishna's ways are beyond our ability to understand. And whatever Krishna does, he does it for the benefit of everyone. But still, during that time, my mind was going through a lot of, what we say, like a roller coaster of trying to understand why this situation ended up the way it did. And even at one point, I convinced myself that he wasn't gone. I was thinking, if I go to Mayapur, I'm going to see him there. This was after his departure. I was feeling so confused and so lost after his departure. I felt like someone very, very dear to everyone, and also I felt also very close to him, because he allowed that loving relationship to develop between himself and his devotees. And so he touched the heart of everyone. And when he did leave, it was hard. It was almost as hard as what we experienced when, not almost, just the same as when His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada departed our presence. It was almost like a feeling of confusion and a feeling of loss. But as time went on, we understood that Krishna's will is always the understanding factor, the factor that makes everything clear. And obviously Krishna had a plan. And many times devotees would say, yes, Bhakti True Maharaj had so much love for Srila Prabhupada, he was feeling such separation from Srila Prabhupada that again, by the arrangement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that he is now again having the opportunity to be with Srila Prabhupada. And that's not sometimes we think, oh, it's really nice to think like that. But that's an actual reality. I had that same experience when Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj left. Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj, just before when he was leaving, when he was quite sick, His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj was staying him for 7 weeks every day around the clock. At that time, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj would always say, Srila Prabhupada's calling me. He's calling me. And then I would listen and I would think, I'm not sure. In other words, yeah, I didn't doubt it, but at the same time, I needed more to understand that deeply. And just the day before he left, I was in Cleveland, Ohio, and we were preparing to go to Gita Nagari where he was. And I was praying to Srila Prabhupada deeply about, please allow Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj to stay with us. He is so valuable in his devotion, and so much, he's given so much to spread Krishna consciousness. How could we lose him? And then in my prayers, Prabhupada actually came to me and said, I'm calling him. I'm calling him. And that's all I heard. I heard Srila Prabhupada's voice say, I'm calling him. I was meditating and looking at a picture of Srila Prabhupada and praying in that way. So we could say for the fact that, yes, Srila Prabhupada has a mission to spread Krishna consciousness everywhere. And many times he wants to have his most confidential associates with him to increase that mission. It's a great loss for us, no doubt. It's a sense of sadness. But on another level, it's a sense of joy because these personalities, they either go back home or they join Srila Prabhupada in his mission somewhere in spreading Krishna consciousness. And as we heard from the video that was played earlier this evening of Bhakti Charu Maharaj, as he was glorifying Srila Prabhupada and his mission to spread Krishna consciousness, he makes that point, and he made the point so many times over and over. It becomes a responsibility. We might call it a legacy, but it's actually more of a personal responsibility to give back what we have received in the form of trying to help others also who are not been given the fortune of coming to this process of bhakti yoga. Nityasita Krishna Prema Sadhu Kabunai Shravanadi Siddhi Chitte Kodiyai Udai. In the hearts of all living entities, no matter what particular body they may inhabit, pure love of Krishna is there in the dormant condition. So anyone who can assist the great souls who will simply live to bring Krishna consciousness to the lives of the unfortunate, anyone who does that becomes recognized by Krishna. And this is actually a great opportunity to show our love for our spiritual master, because if we can somehow do what he has done, then as Prabhupada also say, do what I'm doing, and those who do what I'm doing, they also live with me eternally. Of course, on the magnitude of what they've done, we can never do, but we can try to do whatever we can do, and that is glorious. And that is our service to Srila Prabhupada, that is our service to his mission, to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and that's what Bhakti Charu Maharaj lived with, to please Srila Prabhupada and to spread Krishna consciousness everywhere. His life was absorbed in that, and beautiful and so glorious. So thank you very much for giving me a chance to say a few words about this Paramahansa Vaishnava. Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj Ki Jai.
Once again, His Holiness Chandramuli Maharaj Ki Jai. Let's give one more round of applause, please. Hare Krishna. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Maharaj, for such lovely, kind words. So next, we'd like to humbly request His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj to please come on stage and say a few words, please, Maharaj. So Bhakti Charu Maharaj had amazing relationships with all his godbrothers, as we know. Wherever he went, he would have special time, special feelings for his godbrothers. But we experienced, while especially we were on this cruise retreat a few years ago, Maharaj mentioned it this morning during his class, we personally saw over the 10 or 15 days we were together, how much love both of these Maharajas had for each other. So please welcome Maharaj to the stage with 3 loud Hari Bols. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. His Holiness Srila Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj Ki Jai. It is very late, and Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj was very much devoted to making devotees happy with prasad. So I don't want to take time away from the wonderful feast that has been offered to him. I'll just speak a few words. To all Srila Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj's disciples, followers, I congratulate you. You have truly, and you are truly receiving the highest good fortune. As was said by Radha Sundari Devi 100 years ago in 1922, when our beloved Srila Prabhupada first met his Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. His Guru Maharaj saw something in him that was so special. It appears that he knew at that time that Srila Prabhupada will fulfill his mission of spreading Krishna consciousness, Lord Chaitanya's message all over the world. In a very similar way, in that spirit, our beloved Srila Prabhupada, at the first meeting with Srila Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj, saw something so special in his heart and soul. Who can imagine? It was nearing to the end of Srila Prabhupada's earthly pastimes. There were thousands of devotees all over the world, sannyasis, senior Vaishnavas, GBCs, temple presidents, who had lived literally, book distributors, pujaris, who had sacrificed and surrendered 100% of their lives to serving Srila Prabhupada. In the 1970s, I had the fortune of seeing some of the things and the devotees. Devotees to serve Srila Prabhupada, they really did have to surrender and sacrifice their entire lives, and they did. The enormous responsibilities being taken. Srila Prabhupada sent 6 grihastas from San Francisco to London. And look what they did. Srila Prabhupada sent 1 devotee to Germany, and look what happened in Europe. He just brought a few devotees to India, and look what's there now. He sent a devotee to Australia, to Japan. To understand the magnitude of the sacrifice and the empowerment that Srila Prabhupada entrusted to his devotees. When he met Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj, he was very new. Yet Srila Prabhupada accepted him in his inner circle of personal servants. Something every other devotee in the world would have given up everything to do. Why did he do that? Srila Prabhupada had such trust in who he was from that moment. Actually, at that time, Srila Prabhupada was spending the majority of his energy in India. He had just opened Vrindavan temple. He was developing Mayapur. Mumbai was not even open yet. He asked Bhakti Charu Swami to be his secretary for correspondence for the whole of India. The most sacred language, spoken language, in the world for Gaudiya Vaishnavas is Bengali. Sanskrit is not such a spoken language. Bengali was the language of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Gadadhar, Srivas, Advaita. The language Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sri Chaitanya Mangal were all written in. The language of the songs of Narottam Das Thakur, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Lochan Das Thakur, Govinda Kaviraj. The spoken language of the 6 Goswamis. And Srila Prabhupada's own personal mother tongue. Srila Prabhupada entrusted this new devotee with translating all of his books in the Bengali language. The faith, the trust, and the integrity of his surrender. And from that moment, until his last physical breath in this world, Srila Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj gave his heart and soul to fulfilling Srila Prabhupada's service. He translated all the books. He was at Srila Prabhupada's bedside for the last months of Srila Prabhupada's pastimes. And by Srila Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj's kindness, we had many, many, many long talks about many subjects. He really would pour his heart out, and I would pour my heart out, and somehow or other, we love to share Srila Prabhupada with each other. And with deep emotion, he would speak about those last months with Srila Prabhupada. At times when Srila Prabhupada chose his words to give the most essential direction for the future of our movement after Srila Prabhupada's departure. Because in those days in Rishikesh and then later in Vrindavan, Srila Prabhupada was very aware that he was to soon depart from the physical world. What he was speaking and how he was interacting was so much for the future of our movement after his disappearance. Yes, Srila Prabhupada so much entrusted his heart and his movement in Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj. Because he knew. Just one day before Srila Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj departed from this world, he was on a stage giving a talk in Mayapur Dham, and I was sitting in the back. And after he spoke, he said, "Let us talk." And we walked around for 2 hours, and he brought me up to his room, and we spoke another 3 hours. But the most prominent thing he said, after I graduate from college, my plan is to move to Calcutta to start a Vaishnav educational center. I want to do it with His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj. He said, during the last months of Srila Prabhupada's pastimes, I saw how much Srila Prabhupada had faith, trust, and love for Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj, and I saw the total surrender and love of Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj to Prabhupada. Even though Bhakti Charu Maharaj is older than me in age, still in his humility, he always treated me as a senior. And he went on to glorify in so many ways his own personal experience of serving Srila Prabhupada together with Bhakti Charu Maharaj. After Srila Prabhupada disappeared from this world, a relatively new devotee taking first, second, and third initiation within a matter of months, most of his whole Krishna consciousness was with Srila Prabhupada personally. How do you live after your guru leaves? Most of us, our whole lives, were serving Srila Prabhupada in separation, even when Srila Prabhupada was personally here. But how to do that when you're in his constant association? At the most intimate personal moments, having interchange. Srila Bhakti Charu Maharaj, what he did, the glory of his service, of his surrender, of his compassion, of his wisdom, of his culture. His God brothers and God sisters really did see that he was the personification of Vaishnava culture. What he did to inspire to his last breath, Calcutta. He was the most active of any leader. In Ujjain. He traveled the world. He was always trying to get me to come to South Africa. I never did. He was so concerned everywhere for everyone. In America, in Africa, in Asia, in Europe. Shruti Dharma Prabhu and Pranabandhu Prabhu, they gave such prominence to Bhakti Charu Maharaj's contribution here in the United Kingdom. And prominent leaders in every country, especially here in India, are his Bhakti Charu Maharaj's disciples and those serving under his direction. Who would have ever thought of an entire television series in India glorifying Srila Prabhupada's life? He didn't just think about it, he did it. And actually, countless people became devotees by getting introduced to that television show. His kirtans were the most endearing throughout the world. His classes, such wisdom, such philosophical precision, and all oriented toward awakening and nourishing devotees in the world's faith in Srila Prabhupada. It is extraordinary what he accomplished and what he was enthusiastic to accomplish even at the very end. I congratulate all of you. When I was seeing the video of his talk, he's here. Yes, we're brokenhearted in separation, but he is so here with us at the present. He is living within the hearts of all of us. In this world, all of our previous acharyas are no longer physically here. Their greatness is how they are ever present to inspire us, and in that inspiration to protect us, to guide us. Srila Prabhupada would beg us with tears in his eyes, please assist me in my service to my Guru Maharaj. Not only did Srila Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj take that as his life and soul, but he's asking all of us to do the same today, to assist him in his service to his Guru Maharaj. And who is a better example than himself of how to do it? You are so fortunate. And that fortune is forever. Please be grateful. Thank you very much.
His Holiness Maharaj ki. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Of course, Guru Maharaj was, I remember Subhakshana Mataji's daughter, she made a garland and Guru Maharaj's words were for garlanding Guru Maharaj, but Maharaj said keep it because something so perfect should only be offered to Srila Prabhupada. And he always, when he first came here, he always talked about the three glorious trio here, well, the glorious trio, His Grace Shruti Dhamma Prabhu, without whom obviously we won't be here, His Grace Prana Prabhu, and of course, last but not least, His Grace Neela Madhava Prabhu. Please come and say some words, please. Thank you. Please put your hands together for our glorious His Grace Neela Madhava Prabhu.
Vanchakalpatrubhascha kripasindhu bhayavacha patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So Prabhus, I'm up here to do the thank you vote, to thank everyone. And of course, before I do that, I must really contemplate upon the entire day today. Because for so many years now, Guru Maharaj has chosen this day, the 17th of September, to be Srila Prabhupada's Memorial Day. Why? Because it is today, on the 17th of September, some 57 years back, that His Divine Grace appeared at Boston Harbor. And what I'd like to see, I was just thinking about this when His Holiness Radha Maharaj was just speaking. I'd like to see that here at the Manor, every 17th of September, we have a Srila Prabhupada festival. However, because today was Saturday, weekend is there, so it might not work out, but I'll try and convince our management to hold the day of 17th in September. Thank you. If your prayers are there, then we'll book it every 17th of September as Srila Prabhupada's Memorial Day, because I know that's what our spiritual master, Guru Maharaj, would like. And of course, to thank everyone is also very difficult, because there's so many devotees involved in so many areas of the services. To begin with, we had the car park throughout the entire day. And of course, His Grace Dhruva Maharaj Prabhu is there parking cars all day. So we need to appreciate that. And of course, yes, thank you. And this beautiful stage and the decor, beautiful altar with all the flower arrangements. And because it's the annual Prabhupada festival, we've got additional garlands and additional flower arrangements are there. Fresh flowers are there. So of course, a big round of applause to all the devotees who have been involved on the altar here. And of course, we had many, many cooks, no doubt. And the head of all those cooks is none other than our very own Krishna Purna Mataji. And of course, the offerings and these amazing cakes here, the beautiful cakes here. So please, round of applause for all the cooks. We have the setup, the chairs set up, and of course, the stage management. so many devotees involved with managing the stage and the MCs. Difficult to name all of them, but please let's show our appreciation for all those devotees. And Prabhus and Maharajas, no doubt during the period when we weren't able to do this, yes, online was going on, one realization I had is that the opportunity to serve is indeed exceptionally rare. It is very rare. For a time may come when these bodies may not be able to menially serve even. And we were just contemplating shortly after Janmashtami. Generally Janmashtami we clear up very rapidly. We do it quickly. But there was a time when it would take us several weeks to clear up Janmashtami. And we were contemplating that if the devotees, there's so many devotees, if only a fraction of them would come out and give us a hand, then we would clear up immediately. However, it's not possible. Practicality is not there. But the realization we had then, because our ashram was very limited, our men's ashram, we have the Bhakta ashram as well. We even have the woofers in the farm, all doing physical service. But if we just had a fraction of the devotees in the congregation to render that service, we would certainly perform that task very, very quickly. So the prayer would always be that let our bodies serve as much as we can and seize that opportunity of service. Seize it, grasp it while we can. Because when we were locked up during the pandemic, nothing was happening. Yes, the association was there, online association. But the prayer indeed, Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru, that allow us to render menial practical service whilst we can. Very important aspect, because nothing would manifest. It's difficult to manifest anything in this situation that we're in. Even to lift a chair is sometimes difficult, isn't it? So this is our humble prayer. And thank you all so very, very much for appearing. And some of you devotees have been here all day. And indeed, we are truly, truly very, very fortunate to have Chandramuli Maharaj here, Radha Maharaj here. And of course, what I'd like to do is really book their tickets every 17th of September, every year, perpetually. Chandramuli Maharaj is nodding his head, which means he's in agreement. So now we shall prepare ourselves for the next part of our festivities here, the Pushpanjali. And a humble request is that the devotees would come from this side, offer their flowers to Srila Prabhupada, to Guru Maharaj, and then you could vacate down here. So it's from this side. And a most humble request by the management here, not myself, but the devotees who are managing this event, is that do kindly allow this. After that, we have a beautiful, beautiful prasadam feast. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare. Thank you all so very, very much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Nilamada Prabhu. Thank you. So now, as Nilamada Prabhu said, we get ready for Pushpanjali. So I'll invite His Grace Karthik Chandra Prabhu to come on stage and take us through Pushpanjali. One more thing I wanted to say was, yes, please don't leave, because after Pushpanjali, we will be having a cake cutting ceremony. So please stay for that. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. So we shall be doing Pushpanjali now. So I would like to request everyone to kindly rise and come forward. Flower petals will be passed on to you. Yeah. So what we are going to do is come forward and please make sure that we're going to shower 9 times, so you have enough flowers for 9 offerings. There's a request from the management not to throw the petals on the floor from behind. So please come forward and offer the petals such that they fall on the stage and not on the floor. The prayers are up there on the screen and the screen on the sides, so you should be able to follow the prayers with us. So we shall begin the Pushpanjali. Om Adnyantimirandhasya. Please repeat. Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namine Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Daitaya Kripabdhaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Prabhave Namaha. Madhuryojjvala Premadhya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Virudhapa Siddhanta Dhvantaharine Namo Gaura Kishoraya Sakshad Vairagya Murtaye Vipralambha Rasambodhe Padambujayate Namaha नमो भक्ति विनोदाय सच्चिदानंद नामिने गौरशक्ति स्वरूपाय रूपानुगवरायते गौराविर्भाव भूमेस्त्वं निर्देष्टा सज्जन प्रिय वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथाय ते नमः। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरतुषे नमः। पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूप स्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम्। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। जयतां सुरतौ पंगोर मम मंद मतेर्गति मत्सर्वस्व पदाम्भोजौ राधा मदन मोहनौ दिव्यद्वृन्दारण्य कल्पद्रुमादः श्रीमद्रत्नागार सिंहासनस्थौ श्रीमद्राधा श्रील गोविंददेवौ प्रेष्ठालीभिः सेव्यमानौ स्मरामि। श्रीमान् रासरसारम्भी वंशीवटतटस्थितः कर्षण्वेणुस्वनैर्गोपीर् गोपीनाथ श्रियेस्तु न तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। So the following Guru Pad Padma Pranati verses for glorification of Maharaj would be chanted 3 times, followed by Esha Pushpanjali, total of 9 times. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Charu Swami Niti Namine स्निग्धचेत सुप्रणेता वाग्मिनं च रसाप्लुतं प्रभुपाद गतप्राण नौमि भक्ति चारुपदम् एषः पुष्पाञ्जलिः एषः पुष्पाञ्जलिः एषः पुष्पाञ्जलिः नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिचारु स्वामिनिति नामिने स्निग्धचेतसुप्रणेता वाग्मिनं च रसाप्लुतं प्रभुपादगतप्राण नौमि भक्तिचारुपदम् एषः पुष्पाञ्जलिः एषः पुष्पाञ्जलिः एषः पुष्पाञ्जलिः नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिचारु स्वामिनिति नामिने स्निग्धचेतसुप्रणेता वाग्मिनं च रसाप्लुतं प्रभुपादगतप्राण नौमि भक्तिचारुपदम् एषः पुष्पाञ्जलिः एषः पुष्पाञ्जलिः एषः पुष्पाञ्जलिः His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj ki jai.
Thank you so much, Kartik Prabhu. Hare Krishna. So please settle down. We will now have the Guru Puja. So for Guru Puja, everybody will be actually going around that way, to the left of my side, or to the right of your side. Please come and follow the queue this way. We'll pick up the flowers from the wall there, and they come through and offer this way. Hare Krishna. Please, Hare Krishna, even for the Guru Puja, please make way. Allow the Maharajas to go first, followed by senior disciples, and then the rest of us. Hare Krishna.
बोल श्री गुरु चरणा पद्मा केवल भक्ति सत्मा श्री गुरु चरणे पद्मा केवल भक्ति सद्मा Vande mohe savadhan mate. Vande mohe savadhan mate. Yahar prasade bhai e bhavat riya jai. Yahar prasade bhai e bhavat priya jai. Krishna prapti hoy yahan aite. Krishna prapti hoy yahan hoite. Guru mukha padma vakya chitte kariya akya. Guru mukha padma vakya chitte kariya akya. Hare na kariya mani asa. Hare na kariya mani asa. Shri Guru Charane Rati Aishe Uttama Gati. Shri Guru Charane Rati Aishe Uttama Gati. Shri Guru Ye prasade pure sarv asha. Ye prasade pure sarv asha. Chakhudano dillaje janme janme Prabhu say. Chakhudano dillaje janme janme Prabhu say. Divya gyan hri prakashita. Divya gyan hri prakashita. bhakti yaha hoite avidya vinasha jaite prema bhakti yaha hoite avidya vinasha jaite prema bhakti yaha hoite avidya vinasha jaite Vedegaya charita Vedegaya charita Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adamaja Nara Bandhu Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adama Janara Bandhu Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adama Janara Bandhu Lokanath Loke Rajivana Lokanath Loke Rajivana Ha Prabhu Koro Daya De More Pad Jaya Ha Prabhu Koro Daya De More Pad Jaya Gurudev Koro Daya Deho More Pade Chaya Prabhupada Koro Daya Deho More Pade Chaya Ebe Aj Gushu Tribhuana Ebe Aj Gushu Tribhuana Duya Pada Laila Sharana Srila Prabhupada Patita Pavana Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jaya Guru Deva Srila Bhakti Charu Maharaj Jaya Guru Deva Srila Bhakti Charu Maharaj Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Bhakti Charu Maharaj Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Bhakti Charu Maharaj Jai Jai Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Charu Swami Niti Namine Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Charu Swami Snegda Cheta Supranita Rasavda Pratham Prabhupada Gata Prana Bhakti Niti Namyam Vedaketa Sopraneda Radhabitham Prabhupada Gata Prana Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vrishaya Bhutale Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vrishaya Bhutale Swami iti namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desudarine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.